Brewers got their starting pitcher at the deadline. It wasn't Garrett Crochet, it wasn't Jack Flaherty or Trevor Rogers. It was Frankie Montas from the Reds, which seemed like a big surprise considering the Reds aren't really sellers and are still in the playoff hunt to some extent in a weak NL Central. Montas spent time previously with the Yankees and A's, found the most success with the A's, was a top 10 finisher in the Cy Young in 2021, but since then hasn't been as good. Was pretty good to start off the 2022 season with Oakland, was traded to the Yankees where he really struggled late in the year, had shoulder surgery in 23 and only pitched about an inning last year, and signed a one-year contract with the Reds worth $16 million guaranteed. So pretty bold move for the Reds, and he had a pretty good start to his season, but since early July hasn't gone well, has allowed 16 earned runs in his last 16 innings, 5.01 ERA. He's averaging 4.9 innings per start, so it's not like he's providing great length for the Reds, but the Brewers decided they wanted to go after him, so they traded Jacob Junis and Joey Wiemer to Cincinnati for the former A's right-handed pitcher. And it's a move that's pretty surprising to me because it's not the kind of profile the Brewers typically get. He's not someone with a sort of obvious fix. It's not like he's got one or two pitches that are really good that the Brewers are going to lean into. Maybe they think that having him pitch fewer than 4 2/3, 5 innings to start will improve his effectiveness. That's certainly possible, but it just doesn't seem like a Brewers move. He's got kind of okay stuff all around the board, and especially considering the Brewers gave up Jacob Junis, maybe not someone who's going to be one of their starters or someone who's going to be a late inning relief guy, but he is throwing 2 to 3 innings per outing. So it's not like they didn't have length in Junis. Junis has been really good up to this point. There's some indications that maybe Junis won't be as good going forward, but still, I don't feel like Montas is that big of an upgrade over Junis. And you throw Joey Wiemer in there, whose value is certainly less than it was before, but we're still talking about a guy who was a top 100 prospect only about a year and a half ago. The Brewers gave him an extended run of time last year, never really quite caught on with the bat. So adding Wiemer on top of Junis just seems like a bit of a stretch. I do think Montas maybe represents a slight upgrade over Junis. It just isn't maybe quite the upgrade they need. The Brewers really need innings, and that's why they got Montas. It just doesn't seem like he's quite the guy that the Brewers needed. Now, the starting pitching market, a little bit questionable because there's Crochet, who's got the big injury concerns, the contract concerns. I would be extremely concerned if I were an organization looking at getting a guy who seems extremely concerned about his own injury history, not just teams being concerned about it, but he does, wanting an extension before pitching in the playoffs, which is just a weird move. Nobody's really done that before. So even though he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball, teams shied away from Garrett Crochet. Jack Flaherty had some concerning medicals. Trevor Rogers got a haul from Baltimore. Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby. So there wasn't an obvious candidate for the Brewers to get. I'm just not sure that Frankie Montas is the guy, and I think that standing pat would have been okay. It's a little bit of a questionable move, not the worst move they've made. I don't think this will backfire like some of their moves in 2022. I'm just not quite sold on the Brewers acquiring Frankie Montas. He's a pitcher who's been below average this year, doesn't really provide great length, provides a little bit of length in this 2024 game, but doesn't provide great length and doesn't really have a carrying trait that the Brewers could use to their advantage and turn him into an extremely effective starter. It seems like he might just be a back-end guy that maybe the Brewers overpaid for a little bit. So again, the Brewers acquiring Frankie Montas in exchange for Jacob Junis and Joey Wiemer, and Montas will join the Brewers rotation alongside Aaron Savali, who they acquired earlier this summer.